My name's Alex, I'm a former gate kid, and if you've been following my channel, you may have noticed a theme here that every time I make a new video, it feeds off the last one. So I expand upon the topic that I talked about in the last video. Today, I'm super excited to get into this idea that stems from the last two videos I made that were about ETs, hybrid children, alien implants, channeling aliens around 4 or 5 in the morning, or 3 a.m., usually between 3 and 5, and Montauk Point, which was a video that I said I'd be releasing. I actually meant to release this one a couple days ago, but the universe had other plans that I think we should be listening to. But anyways, today I wanted to share an experience that I had back in February, which is a really interesting experience, and it also ties back to the previous videos I've made about neurodivergence, MK Ultra, and sobriety. So a handful of months ago, sometime in February, I had stopped with the MJ, and I went on a 48-hour fast followed by 2 20-hour fast days, and I felt extremely energized, extremely clear-headed, and the purpose of my fast was a spiritual fast. I wanted to clear my mind and open myself to communication with my guides or spirit or whatever. I was just feeling really mystical. So 2 nights in a row, I woke up to the song Play Crack the Sky by Brand New. And the lyrics in that song start off, we sent out the SOS call. It was 4:15 in the morning. The storm broke our second anchor line. 4 months at sea, 4 months of calm seas to be pounded by the shallows off the tip of Montauk Point. They call them rogues. They travel fast and alone, 100-foot faces of God's good ocean gone wrong. What they call love is a risk, to always get ahead out of nowhere, buy some wave and end up on your own. So I just shared with you those lyrics because they're important to the vision I was having. So the first night, I didn't think anything of it, but I was awakened at 4:15 a.m. or sometime around 4, and just randomly had that song stuck in my head. Didn't think anything of it, went back to bed. The next night, I hear the song again. Again, didn't really think anything of it. And I think this happened 3 nights in a row. Maybe it was just 2 nights in a row, but I now that I'm remembering, I think it was 3 nights in a row, because I remember the first night, I literally didn't think anything of it, but the song was stuck in my head for a couple days. But the second or third night, whatever it was, my dog, who I rescued from Roswell, New Mexico, who grew up on the reservation out there, or just was rescued from Roswell, he's sitting right there, my alien dog, wakes me up at 4:15 the following night, and then I'm up already and I'm hearing the song Play Crack the Sky again. So after hearing it a couple nights in a row, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to look up the lyrics and like see what is this about? Why am I hearing this song? So Montauk Point stuck out to me. I didn't know anything about Montauk Point back then, but this is how cool spirit is and our psychic senses and whatever these brains or implants or whatever are bringing us. But Montauk Point stood out to me. So I looked up what Montauk Point was, and then I found out that Montauk Point was a site that I think it was a military base in the Cold War, and when they shut it down, they experimented on psychic children, supposedly opened a wormhole. There were experiments on time travel, consciousness, something about a quantum computer and ET technology, and it was actually what the show Stranger Things was based off of. I don't think it's a crazy chills. I don't think it's a coincidence that Stranger Things took place in the 80s. I'm an 80s baby. A lot of you who watch my channel and resonate with my content are 80s and 90s, and then before that, okay? So there's definitely a connection here between all of that. So MK Ultra was super strong in the 60s, 70s, so that's what a lot of the older people who are older than I am, so like 60s, 70s, part of probably more nefarious MK Ultra experiments. And let's just play along for a second and act like all these whistleblowers were telling the truth when they talked about the time travel, the dimensions that they opened up, the wormholes that they opened up, ET technology, quantum computing, etc. Let's act like that's real, and let's act like we opened a wormhole for whatever reason, whether the aliens or ETs came to us and wanted, we're trying to mess with our timelines or something, or maybe they came to help, who knows. But let's just keep playing along with this idea that that is true. And if we somehow opened up some bad and dangerous, nefarious timelines in order to protect the human race and the country? Is it really that nefarious to call upon gifted children to do everything in their power to maybe bring about a more positive outcome for humanity? I don't know. But that's just one thought that I had. Another thought, of course, is that it was for more nefarious reasons and there's some negative entities. But I've been really struck with this idea that quantum computers are real. I mean, where do you think AI, ChatGPT, and all that stuff is drawing its information from? Instantaneously, we're getting paragraphs of information and it's connecting the dots for us. So I personally believe that there's some kind of quantum computing happening. The question is it happening for a nefarious reason to create these negative grid systems for humanity and these incarnation cycles where humans just keep getting recycled and we're stuck in like a prison planet? Or has humanity evolved in the point of consciousness where we are starting to have co-creative abilities? I think it's a little bit of both. I think that duality is a thing. I think a lot of people who watch this channel probably also resonate with this idea of duality and understanding that while the dark stuff feels horrible, is absolutely terrifying, you are so much more powerful than the dark. Why do you think every movie that you watch, the light always wins? Why does the light always win? The dark can be used as a catalyst into our own enlightenment and our own higher timelines. And it literally is like a sounding board for us. Because what if you were just light and that light had nothing to bounce off of and it had nothing to lighten up? Then what would this experience as a human be like? I don't know. So we need the dark just as much as we need the light. And depending on how we look at the dark experiences that have happened to us can really determine how we move forward and how we experience reality moving forward. So all of that to say, getting back to the lyrics in Play Crack the Sky, and then my experience of waking up 2 nights in a row, hearing that song, having the inkling or whatever to go research Montauk Point and figure out what that was about. It led me down the rabbit hole of Stranger Things, which I always resonated with. I don't believe it was a coincidence that was happening with 80s and 90s, because I think that might be some kind of activation code for us. I have an 80s haircut too. Is that weird? Okay. Anyways, the 80s were significant because 80s and 90s, and then some people in the between, I think the first wave might have been 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So there's been waves of indigo souls coming on the planet since then, coming online since then. And then 80s and 90s, I think there was a bigger wave of us. And now us 80s and 90s babies are the ones with the power to do something. We're grown up now. And a lot of these things that are coming up in the media, they could be encouraging us to stay in trauma loops. And come here, bud, come here. And that could be why we're all waking up collectively, because it could be, part of it could be a trap. So the whole point is like for us to ascend and to rise and to understand the traps and know how to spot them when they're coming up. So anything that makes you feel fearful and afraid is a trap. It's not something that you want to give your attention to. Anything that feels uplifting, enlightening, that gives you spiritual chills, that makes you feel hopeful. These are the positive bits of information, the people that you want to follow, the people that you want to connect with, and the information that is okay to consume because it's giving you a seed of consciousness, which you can go plant in other people. And then that's how light expands on the planet, and how we as a collective who are collectively co-creating our reality, if there is such thing as a quantum computer, that is how we all create positive outcomes. And this is so important right now. I'm getting very amped up about it because of a lot of the stuff in the news right now with the ICE raids, with politics and the split between Democrats and liberals, and then nuclear war in Israel and Iran. It's a pivotal point in human history, which is going to lead me back to Montauk Point and the experiments they were doing there, and the quantum computer and the wormholes and the alternate timelines. I think we are at a space right now where there are alternate timelines at play here, and it's all dependent upon what we give our mental energy to. So if you are a person like me who has had dreams of nuclear war and doomsday type events, and you've seen those as premonitions because they feel so real, stick with me right now. What if that is not an outcome that's going to happen? What if you are a quantum computer, you are tapped in, your DNA is turned on, you have the ability to tap into all of these quantum memories. So that is what you're remembering. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. What if those things show up for us as a warning, as something to inspire us into action, to share our gifts? Because we all have a piece of the puzzle, and it's so important now more than ever to share your seed of consciousness. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? To share that with the collective, because that is how we are going to avoid those timelines, or you personally are going to avoid those timelines, because I also have a theory that some of us are going to go in those lower timelines, and that is what our soul is choosing for its own evolution, and others of us will maybe go to the timeline where we are in our light bodies and the Merkaba activates. That's again something, another seed of information I got from another channel. I think Baker Belts, I watched like 2 of his videos and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like that's the power of our voice and connecting with others and sharing what we know, because it activates something in us, and then we can kind of connect the dots and then help more people awaken. And I know I keep getting sidetracked. I also have a video about neurodivergence, ADHD, and the fact that they're actually psychic superpowers. And ADHD comes from the fact that we are multi-dimensional beings who are tapped into a lot of collective ideas and timelines. So that's why we hop around a lot, because we're, it's like literally like you're being channeled with all of this information, and then you have to figure out a way to deliver it logically. So it's like all of this information trying to come through a tiny straw. So it's hard. I think that's why ADHD people jump around a lot. But the Montauk Point stuff in Play Crack the Sky, the coincidence or the synchronicity I was finding with the lyrics in Play Crack the Sky is that it talks about waves, and Play Crack the Sky could be a metaphor for the firmament and flat earth. I'm not a super flat earther. I don't really understand the whole theory. I have not dived down that rabbit hole yet. So message me in the comments about what you think. I'm curious. Like, I've read some of it and I'm like, well, it's not illogical. I mean, especially when you look at the synchronicities in the Bible, but I mean, I don't know. It seems more logical than we're on a rock floating in the middle of space. I don't know, but isn't it flat earth? Like, we are on a rock still in the middle of space, except it's just a glass firmament. I don't know. I'm so curious to hear other people's thoughts on that. So anyways, Play Crack the Sky could be like a flat earth reference possibly, but the fact that that song talks about waves, and I've mentioned in my other videos about quantum entanglement, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, about how the Double Slit Experiment, I don't know when that was done, but that's a very famous experiment that a lot of people in the New Age community talk about, how everything exists as a possibility until it collapses into wave form, but it only collapses into wave form when it is observed by the viewer. So that means unless we give something our conscious attention, doesn't collapse into reality, into physical reality. So on that night that I had fasted and that I'd been a couple weeks sober off of MJ, and then I don't drink alcohol either, and I don't take psych meds or anything. Please don't lock me up. But I was, raw dog in life, if you will. And I had, was awakened during those hours and heard the song and then Montauk Point. And then my friend was reading the book. I forget what it's called. It's a new one about UAF disclosure that's coming out. I'm going to link it in the description. But he had sent me passages a couple days earlier that I was busy, so I didn't read. So when I woke up at 4 a.m. that morning, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm up, so I'll go read his previous texts, which were 2 excerpts from the book that talk about how Earth is like a gas station for extraterrestrials. Earth or spaceships and UFOs can travel faster than the speed of light because they're enveloped in some kind of, I don't know, like time loop or something. I don't exactly remember now. So I'm going to, again, link these pages in there, or if I edit this video, then I'll probably include them. So you can read the pages that I read, but I'll definitely link the book, and running low on battery. But all of that to say, I read the alien stuff, and then it wasn't a coincidence to me that they mentioned Roswell, so some experience at Roswell, and they mentioned Manhattan, which I don't know how far that is from Montauk Point, but I just thought it was interesting how there was a little synchronicity there. And Roswell, I think I remember reading in some kind of Roswell declassified documents that they call humans containers, which means that we're containers for consciousness, which means that our minds are like the vehicle. Some of us have DNA that's activated, but our consciousness comes from something else. So we very well could be Pleiadian starseeds or Lyrans or Syrians or Arcturans or whatever the heck we are. Because in that book, Bringers of the Dawn, it's saying that we have extraterrestrial DNA, like from a lot of different races. And of course, we're seeded by nefarious communities or whatever. And we're also seeded by more positive extraterrestrials too. So we have a little bit of both. And that's why Earth is like a playground where all of this stuff can happen. But I wanted to share the channeled message that I received that morning. I just decided to open up my voice notes and have I just want you to see my dog. He's so cute. That video got cut off, but I wanted to open up, the night that I got those downloads about Montauk Point and I read about the ETs from my friend's book, and I heard the song play Crack the Sky. I opened the voice notes on my phone and I took, it was like an hour-long channeled message. So what's interesting about that is when I went back and re-listened to it a couple of months later, I could very clearly tell that I was tapped into something, or my mind was more clear to receive the downloads or whatever that I got. And I think what helped get in that state of mind and collect to that stream of consciousness was the fact that I had done essentially a 4-day fast and then was also sober. And I've talked about in other videos how sobriety can help you clear your channels. Of course, it's going to affect us differently, so I'm not trying to hate on anyone that is still using substances, but I'm just saying my experience personally. And if you're anything like me and you resonate with me and you're struggling in any ways to get more clear, if you're anything like me, you might also benefit from letting go of substances, and they might clear your channel a little bit to help you tap into the higher frequencies or channel messages or whatever you want to call it. So next, I'm going to share with you my channeled messages where I talk about things like human design, our light bodies. To be honest, I don't quite exactly remember what else I talked about, but I know that when I went back, ETs, communication, I don't think I called it implants in there, but essentially this idea that we have a lot of metals in our bodies, and are we amplifying signals from extraterrestrial spaceships that are near us? Are we amplifying signals from satellites or frequencies that are beamed out to encourage certain narratives? These are all things that I explore in that channeled message. So stick around and watch that if you want. And thanks for joining me. Thanks for being a part of this channel. And let me know in the comments what you think about all this. The other big thing I do want to touch on real quickly is the quantum computer. Quantum computers, I had this idea in my head the other day, this early morning thought that woke me up. That was like, you are quantum beings living in a sea of infinite potentialities. And part of me thinks that those lyrics from Brand New might have been alluding to that with the waves, how you can be struck by a rogue wave, meaning you could be struck by a rogue frequency, like a negative frequency, and then it can derail your life and put you on a negative timeline. So it's just so important to recognize your nature as a quantum being and to gain control over your own energy field and vibration, so you're not being programmed by other waves that people are projecting at you. You get to choose your own wave, and I have so many tools that can help you. Like human design is a huge one. I'm very passionate about teaching that, astrology and understanding your transits and your natal blueprint. I also have a theory that a lot of gate kids or gifted kids have certain astrological aspects. One of the things I notice is Neptune in the first house could also be activated. You could have activated 8th, 12th, 4th houses. Cusp babies are a big one. Stelliums are a big one. When you have a lot of the same planets in one area of your chart, which is known as a stellium, which means that planet's energy is super active in your chart. So if you've never had a birth chart read, if you've never read your human design, I highly encourage you to look into it. I do have free resources for you, so you can if you're into Googling and doing your own research, you can use those tools for free, and I have guided you in the right direction so you know what to look at. If you don't have time to Google and you don't want to Google and you want to save that time for you, you can pay me for my experience and my expertise and book a personal reading with me where I sit down with you and I do a super deep dive, especially on human design. Sometimes they take 2 or 3 hours, but if you are really into learning and diving deep on topics, I think you will enjoy the human design a lot. And I also do deep dives on astrology. So let me know, reach out to me on one of my social channels through sending a DM, and that I'll see those first, and those that's how I have people book readings. So if you want a personal reading, let me know, and enjoy the channeled message.